So this is the follow-up story.
Joe Biden is likely will lose New Hampshire and Iowa. And Chris Sununu, I think that's how you say his name. He is the governor of, or is he the former? Yeah, no, he's the current governor of New Hampshire. And they brought him on to, I guess they thought he was going to bow down about, but bow down as far as, we're running a primary. Maybe she was trying to get him to not run the primary so it doesn't be an embarrassment for Joe Biden when he loses. But let's listen to what he says, his reaction to what she asked.
The DNC, Democrats, Joe Biden has said that he's not going to campaign there, and so he won't see that as legit. I mean, would you effectively...
Look, New Hampshire's a place where it doesn't matter if you have name ID or money. You come, you earn it on the campaign trail.
A lot of sham primary?
No, it just means they wouldn't sit our delegates. Doesn't matter. The value you get. Look, RFK Jr., right, who's a pretty interesting character to say the least. I've sat with him. He seems like a nice guy. He's already polling at 25-30% in certain polls in New Hampshire, and he's barely even started. So I think
25-30%, 25-30% in New Hampshire. That's a win. That means he's going to win. I mean, that's an indication he's on a trajectory, I should say, to win that state. Now, I do want to rewind it so you can see her reaction here when he says, because she tries to throw him off about the primary. Well, why something about why have a primary or something along those lines. He's like, well, no, they just won't seat our delegates. Not a big deal, which is not a big deal because he can, there's not a lot of delegates. But let's listen.
No, it just means they wouldn't sit our delegates. Doesn't matter. The value you get.
He doesn't like that answer.
RFK Jr., right, who's a pretty interesting character to say the least. I've sat with him. He seems like a nice guy. He's already polling at 25-30% in certain polls in New Hampshire, and he's barely even started. So I think a lot of folks are realizing, wait a minute, I can use New Hampshire as a launching ground to challenge a sitting Democrat president that most Democrats don't think should run for a second term anyway. So I just think it's an open door. We're going to have ours first, whether they like it or not. Don't even know if the South Carolina primary is going to happen. They didn't hold one for Trump when he was an incumbent. Probably won't hold one for Biden. So there's just going to be a lot of political momentum behind whoever wants to challenge the current president through New Hampshire.
Can you imagine that he loses New Hampshire, he loses Ohio, and then South Carolina doesn't even hold a primary? You know how terrible that would look for Joe Biden? And this is why, actually, there's one more, Steve. There's this billionaire. For some reason, they always lean into billionaires. Here goes Steve Forbes. He doesn't think Joe Biden is going to be the nominee. And I'm not sure Joe Biden's going to be the nominee either. But let's listen to this billionaire.
You don't think Joe Biden's going to be the candidate?
No, I don't.
I don't think so either. And for a year, I've been saying there's not a shot in hell that Joe Biden runs just from watching him every day.
Well, the word salad, right? I mean, he can't express himself in a coherent manner, right?
So, but the Democrats are not allowing any debate. So something's got to give.
It's starting to give already. Robert Kennedy Jr. is now a credible candidate. He could win in New Hampshire. He could win in Iowa. He's going to play the role that Gene McCarthy did back in 1968, an obscure Minnesota senator, ran against an incumbent President Lyndon Johnson, did well in the New Hampshire primary, and knocked him out of the race. I don't think Biden's going to let it go to that. He'll be out before that happens. But Robert Kennedy's the agent of those who want to have a change at the top of the ticket.
You think it's going to be Robert Kennedy?
No, I don't think he'll be the nominee, but I think he'll be the battering ram that helps knock Joe Biden out of the race.
So who's the nominee?
Well, you have a governor in California who's drooling for the job. They have to give him a
no.
He's ready to run, and they're probably looking at the field now. They want to do in 2024 what they did in 2020 when they handpicked Joe Biden, who was finishing fourth or fifth in those primaries in early contests. They in fact shoehorned him in. They hope to do it with somebody else, whether it's with Gavin Newsom or somebody else. It won't be Joe Biden.
That's what they did with Hillary, too, in 2016. Don't forget that.
Yes.
They shoehorned her.
He actually saved his announcement at the end there. We let finish. It's almost done. We let finish.
Well, and they shooed her into the Senate, if you recall, right?
Oh, yeah, that's
when
right.
Moynihan retired, they just handed it off to Ms. Clinton.
Now, that old guy is...
Steve Forbes. That's the guy. That's right. Forbes magazine. Yeah, go ahead.
He actually right in a way, because he actually explains at the end where the Democrats can just choose, like if they want to be Gavin Newsom. And the people you see say that Gavin Newsom could be a potential candidate for president. These are the people who know the system is rigged. And this is the argument that we make. We made the argument that capital determines the people who win in these fake little popularity contests that you guys have, that you guys think is democracy. And that's shown by the numbers. Numbers show that 97% of the time you can predict the election based on who raises the most money. Capitalists pick who runs our government. So this guy accurately points out, saying the quiet part out loud, and I guess they're comfortable enough in his audience to do that, where they say, well, yeah, if the capitalist class wanted Gavin Newsom to be the president, he's going to be the fucking president. That's why, even though we may chuckle and roll our eyes, like, who the fuck like Gavin Newsom? He understands that it doesn't matter if we fucking like him. Look, we got Kamala Harris as vice president. No one fucking liked her. She's vice president.
No, that's a great point that you make, is that, and this is Steve Forbes. Now, this is the oligarch. So when we're talking about, we're on ruling class, this is the guy who's on the top. So we're talking about Bill Gates. We're talking about Bloomberg. You're talking about people like Steve Forbes. So listen to what he's saying. Like, they're going to shoehorn them in. Does that sound like democracy? I never saw a democracy where it said shoehorning somebody in was part of democracy, because they know that is what they can do. And that's what they did with Joe Biden. He made another point. Joe Biden was at number 4 and he magically won. Number 4 and he magically won. So is it that far-fetched that a Gavin Newsom couldn't be shoehorned in? And remember, he recently went on Sean Hannity. Trying to look presidential. And I think there's so many people, I think maybe the Michigan governor, they're salivating, waiting. Is Joe Biden? Is he not? And they're gonna throw their hat into the ring, because literally this is a wide open race. Because what are they thinking? Man, if I had a softer candidate in the world to run against, is Donald Trump. So they're salivating to get into this race and replacing Joe Biden. And do you think, Nick, and this was my last question before we close this, do you think Steve Jobs is right? Do you think that Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee? Or what is your, I'm not asking you to predict, but like, what is your feeling about it? Go ahead.
I said before, the only way that Joe Biden not nominated is if this motherfucker's dead. Like, they're gonna put as many stories as possible, because he's more likely to win. They don't want to have Kamala on the front ticket. They don't even want Pete Buttigieg to be there as well. So I literally predicted this years ago. I think this is gonna hold up. I think Biden's gonna be the candidate. The only way he's not a candidate if he's literally physically cannot do it. Like, if he's a crip walker. Like, this motherfucker gotta be dead there for the. Like, if he's like, even if he's halfway alive, they will just drug him up. They'll have PR spokesman for him. He will never do a press conference. They're always planning not to have debates. The one debate he had with Donald Trump, they're gonna have him on every single steroid known to human demand. So that's my prediction. We see if I'm correct. I think that would be a bad move. I think people are probably getting too hyped when they say Biden won't be the candidate. They're gonna use him to win, because they've been proven that he can beat Trump. Whether he's gonna do it again, we don't know. But they've been proving he can beat Trump, so they're gonna use him to beat Trump. And then after that, get rid of the motherfucker. Then, Kamala. Oh yeah, by the way, Joe Biden's sick. 2025. Joe Biden's sick. We got Kamala Harris as president. Damn, who could have seen this coming? That's gonna happen. If they win, at least. And
Nikki Haley is correct. One
more thing I would say in terms of the rigged elections, because Americans always want to brag over their democracy over other countries because they think it's special, because they got term limits. They're like, oh my God, Xi Jinping has been leader for 10 plus years. Vladimir Putin, 12 years. We are more democratic than them because we got term limits. And my question, I want you guys to decolonize your mind. What good is these term limits when the capitalists got the seat bought? The capitalists own the executive branch. The capitalists own California District 1, California District 2, Missouri District 1, Louisiana District 2. They own all the districts. So of course they make term limits to give you illusion that shit is changing. They're like, all right, swap out him for another capitalist sympathizer. Get another one of our workers here. Okay, just a thought I want you guys to think about. Like, this democracy is not as great as they told us growing up. And it's literally still cringe when I see people pretend otherwise.